In the heart of Oman, where the rich scent of tradition meets the modern art of perfumery, lies a secret. A place where the air is filled with the essence of centuries-old ingredients and where each drop of fragrance tells a story. Welcome to the world of Amouage, a luxury perfume house that has captured the spirit of the Middle East and the soul of Oman for over 40 years. Here, ancient traditions blend with modern craftsmanship to create some of the most exquisite perfumes in the world. In this documentary, we take you behind the scenes of Amouage's iconic factory, where master perfumers and artisans work together to bring these luxurious scents to life. We'll uncover the inspiration behind their creations, dive into the sourcing of rare and precious ingredients, and witness the meticulous process that turns raw materials into bottles of liquid art. Join us on this journey through time, tradition, and olfactory artistry as we explore the stories behind each fragrance and the passion that drives Amouage to the pinnacle of perfumery. This is Amouage, where every scent is a masterpiece.
Hello and welcome. We are here in the Oman at the beautiful place of Amouage. We will today give you footage which you have never seen. We can enter as the first team in the production site and tell you and show you how they are working. It will be amazing and I'm really looking forward to show you the most high quality perfume production which I have ever seen. Let's go inside. Thank you very much for having me. It's very exciting to see all the history, especially the bottles and the beautiful display, how it all assembled now to the very modern. I think we start from here, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So we have 40 years of history, 41 actually years of history in front of us. And it all started in 1983. Back at the time, His late Majesty Sultan Qaboos, the previous ruler of Oman, wanted actually to offer a gift to the important guests visiting Oman. He was receiving royalty and so on, and back at the time, I think he was giving actually watches, Swiss watches. And they realized, well, maybe, we could actually create something a bit more unique, something that would contain a piece of Oman. That was the brief. And his entourage said, what about creating a perfume? And that's how the idea of Amouage came to life. So they went around Oman. Oman is quite a big country. It's more or less the size of Italy. And they found the different ingredients. In the mountains, they found the roses. In the south of Oman, they found incense, frankincense. And then by the sea, they were able to find ambergris. They took all of those ingredients and they flew to Grasse, so to the south of France, to meet with Gebauer. Gebauer was a very famous perfumer at the time, and he took actually those ingredients. He added many more ingredients, and he created one formula that was called actually Amouage. And they said, well, maybe we are going to do a twist of that formula and create a second fragrance, a bit more masculine, with a bit more animalic ingredients and so on, and we are going to create Amouage Gentlemen. So we have Amouage Ladies, Amouage Gentlemen. When someone important comes, we can create a gift for them, but we need a bottle for that. So actually they flew to London and they went to the house of Asprey's.
The known
yes.
jeweler and house for everything you wish for, right?
Definitely. They went for the very best since the beginning. And Asprey's created silver casks to house actually those beautiful fragrance creations from Gebauer. That's what we see in front of us. So two of them, the ladies one, so Amouage Ladies, that after a few years was renamed Gold, but originally it was just Amouage Ladies and Amouage Gentlemen.
But this is the first time, I am sure the audience will notice, it's for me the first time that I make the connection that the cap, the bottle cap, you still got the same shape in today, but it's the first time I make the connection from the dagger to the modern flask.
That's 100% correct. So the inspiration has always been for the men's one, the Omani dagger, a dagger that men wear at their belt for ceremonies. And for the women's one, back at the time, the dome of the Sultan Qaboos Mosque, and then when he created the Grand Mosque that you can see in Muscat, then actually the shape of the cap changed a little bit to be actually more looking like the shape of the dome of the Grand Mosque. So that's why.
And here we also have a very interesting detail.
Yes.
The level of detail, I mean, you used semi-precious stones here.
Correct.
And this was in 1988, my year of birth.
Oh, well, and back at the time, it shows, you know, how much Amouage has always gone in the details. The Sultan wanted to personalize each product, to reflect the personality of the person who would receive the product. So if someone, you know, liked, for example, the pink color, he would ask actually to use a semi-precious pink stone, as we can see here, so that the person would feel very special.
But then, if we make the transition, there was a kind of development that modernized the brand. So
Correct.
we are in the 80s. If we now transition, we start here again in 2006 or 1998. What happened here?
Yes, so 98, we see finally Amouage decides actually to sell fragrances. So it's not only an exclusive gift of the Sultan, and Amouage becomes a perfume house. So Amouage is not only anymore one perfume, the Amouage decides to create silver, so the second perfume of Amouage, and then the original fragrances of Amouage are then renamed gold. So this is really when gold actually takes its final name. Very quickly after that, in 2006, we see the creation of one fragrance that has become quite iconic of Amouage.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you know it.
Reflection?
Reflection.
Yeah.
It's a stunning creation.
Is it still the most sold fragrance?
So it's probably one of the most sold ones. Today, I think Guidance has become by far the most sold one, but it's definitely, it has always been one of the most sold fragrances.
If someone now watches the video and he, let's say he just enters the world of niche perfume, what would you say, which one should he go for? Should he go for Guidance or should he go for Reflection? What would you, or what was your first fragrance?
My first Amouage fragrance was actually Reflection.
Okay.
And I think it's a good entry point in the world of Amouage. Why is it such a good entry point? Because I think it takes on, I would say, relatively pleasing aesthetic. So we are in the world of barbershop fragrances. We are in the world of actually, you know, a fragrance that's going to give you this very groomed feeling, extremely precious ingredients. Lots of people say it smells like money. And I think, I mean, to an extent, it shows actually the quality of the ingredients. It's your typical barbershop fragrance, but done the Amouage way. So usually this is a fragrance you would put on in the morning to feel like groomed, fresh, clean in a way. However, those type of fragrances, they tend to disappear and fade away quite quickly as you wear them. But what Amouage did actually was taking on that thematic, but doing it exquisitely with a relatively high concentration, top quality of ingredients, and quite a lot of complexity as well in the evolution. So it's a fragrance that I think you can instantly love, but at the same time you're going to keep on discovering so many details and aspects of the formula that are not maybe that obvious as you wear it in the first place.
For the experts out there, you will probably know Reflection is also existing in a high concentrated version. We have Reflection 45. What is the main difference?
So the main difference, one is the concentration. Reflection Man is at 25% concentration. Reflection 45 is at 45% concentration. So quite nearly double the concentration. Now, sometimes actually having a higher concentration is not a good thing, because the fragrance could feel very, very dense.
And it's not opening sometimes.
And it's not opening,
yeah.
Right. And I'm sure you felt that with some fragrances. So what we had to do when I worked with Lucas Jozak, so the perfumer who created Reflection and Reflection 45, was actually to define the different blocks that are constituting the fragrance. And actually to go inside each block, to complexify each block, and to make actually each block, I would say, vibrate in a different way. So if you want to think about it, Reflection, in our mind, has more or less three blocks. One is the aromatic block that you feel, that gives you this kind of vibration, this freshness, those typical codes of masculine fragrances. And we added a lot of complexity in that aromatic block, sometimes using actually several qualities of the same ingredient to provide more complexity. The second block is a block that is actually surprisingly a floral block for a men's fragrance. You have some white flowers, you have some musks and so on, so it gives a little bit of that white bloom to the fragrance. And then the last block is a woody one. There are quite some woods in the fragrance, some abstract woods, but also some beautiful quality of woods. And we decided to make those woods a little bit deeper. And finally, there is, I think in our mind there is one ingredient that connects everything. It's the iris. Mm-hmm. We dialed up significantly the iris in the fragrance. That's why sometimes Reflection 45 can feel a little bit more earthy, a little bit more rooty as well. That is typically what you get from Oris.
Interesting. If you need to imagine, the DNA of the fragrance, a very big part you can feel in a lot of fragrances is frankincense. And visually displayed, we have it
just there.
Over here.
Yeah.
This one, Oman, it's really the DNA also of Oman. And what you accomplished is, even let's say in one of my favorite fragrances, it is Surge.
Yeah.
I think right now it's really on the spot, especially in Europe. It's a fresh fragrance combines with a very wearable frankincense. Normally, if you take something from the Middle East with incense, it's sometimes a little bit difficult to wear. But this one is just right in it. You can feel it, you can notice it, but it's not overpowered. So frankincense, is it in all fragrances?
So it's not in all Amouage fragrances. It's an ingredient that we consider is part of the triad of iconic ingredients that were actually collected by the entourage of the Sultan for the first fragrance. It's an ingredient that grows in Oman, that we source in the south of Oman. It's a resin from a tree, and we have actually a tree in front of the manufacturer, so we can have like a look at it.
Okay.
And if you want, we can even tap the tree to see the frankincense coming out. But it's a resin. We need to make sure that we don't hurt the tree, so we just actually tap the superficial part of the bark of the tree.
Oh, okay.
And then the tree is going to release that resin that is at the beginning very milky and solidifies over time.
Okay.
And after 2 weeks, it becomes what people here call the tears of God. Because it's obviously linked to religion, it's obviously linked to also medicine.
I heard it that you can eat it.
You can eat it. It's a bit of an acquired taste.
You did it?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
The first time I was chewing it and I was like, okay, I need to get rid of it because it's a little bit weird. But then at some point, actually, you get used to it.
Okay.
The best thing, if you want to eat frankincense, what I would recommend, you take a drop of it, a solid drop of it, you put it in a bottle of water overnight in the fridge. And then the day after, you can drink the frankincense water, and it's actually super good for many things. One, the skin.
Really?
Gives you a glowing skin, beautiful skin. Secondly, the stress. So if you're stressed, are you stressed or not?
No, never.
Well,
You?
a little bit. So if you're stressed, it's actually going to help. And then the last one is digestion. Apparently, it has a lot of properties when it comes to digestion.
Oh, great.
But for us, we use it in fragrances. Now, what I realize is that when I say frankincense, most of the people think smoke.
Because when you burn it,
Because we burn it.
Yeah.
However, frankincense essential oil is what we use in the fragrances, and it's actually not smoky. It's very, and actually we could smell it if you want.
Yeah, that's right. I think you have it here in the. These are the main ingredients, the raw oils, right?
So they are the oils, but we dilute them. So we add 95% of ethanol so that you can smell actually several of them and your nose is not going to get saturated. So where do we find frankincense? It's here. And as you can see, first of all, it's quite transparent. It's quite clear. It's a very pure ingredient.
I have to say this is one of the nicest showrooms I've ever visited. It's really beautiful made and astonishing. What you accomplished here, 10 out of 10. I'm really excited to see more of the company and the production side.
Thank you.
Oui.
Is it smoky?
No,
Not at
zero.
all, right? What does it bring to mind?
In Germany, it's called Harz, You feel that it's from a tree.
Yes. So it has something. Some people would say, actually, kids usually say it smells a bit like a sauna. So it has this kind of eucalyptus vibe.
Eucalyptus, yeah,
yes.
a little bit. Yes, true.
It's going to become quite citrusy. So a little bit like bergamot, petit grain.
But is it every sort of frankincense is like this?
No, only this one.
Only this one, because when I am thinking of other fragrances, they are not tend to fit into this bergamot, lemon, citrus theme.
It's very unique of the quality of frankincense that we use that comes from Oman. But again, even if you look at the different qualities in Oman, we rank them by grade. So you have grade 1, grade 2, up to grade 4. We use the one that is grade 1 and to an extent grade 2. If you want to know, the best quality usually is a little bit green. So the resin looks green, and that is really the best quality. It's called the Sultan's grade. So this is the grade actually that the Sultan would use. That's what we smell here. And now the product has already changed. Now it feels a little bit dusty. It feels also very mineralic.
True, yeah.
It smells a bit like grapefruit as well.
Green notes, I would say green notes.
We love that ingredient. The perfumers love that ingredient because it's an ingredient that we call a bit the Swiss knife of perfumery, because it hits in the top notes, the heart notes, and the base notes.
But very difficult to balance.
Quite difficult.
Because we have to say, for someone who doesn't know about Amouage, what I like about this fragrance house is it always finds the balance. It keeps the Arabic spirit, infuses with some DNA from the French, so it's always very subtle to wear, not overpowering in a sense. And if you know other fragrance houses which are based, let's say, in the UAE or in the Middle East, they are quite going to one direction. But here we find a lot of variety, but it's very easy to wear. The new releases especially, and also people who are just entering, they will be very satisfied with the quality and the performance.
Some people ask me what's the style of Amouage fragrances, and I think it's not only one style, it's more a philosophy, and the idea and the philosophy is to make actually probably the most complex and richest version of the thematic that we decide to tackle. So we saw a barbershop type of fragrance. There could be a white floral fragrance, like on a woman and so on. And again, usually a white floral fragrance would be quite volatile and would have a tendency usually, to fade away quite quickly. However, white floral fragrances by Amouage actually are those big bouquet of flowers that keep all of the subtleties and so on, because we use some of the best ingredients, and also because we age every single fragrance. We will see that a bit later, but something that people tend to forget. I think many companies forgot that we used to age fragrances and that it was super important.
I never have heard it.
So we can talk about that.
Yeah. So frankincense, not easy to balance, but especially in search. What do you think about search? We can take a look at it. What is your opinion on search?
So,
I feel not a lot of people are pushing it. It's my favorite. It's right now the one I use the most.
So, and what makes you liking it?
First off, in Las Vegas, it's hot, so it's 45 degrees. Yeah. And right now we see, let's say we had in the past years in the perfume world, everyone went into saffron and sweet fragrances. This was it. Everyone wants it. But right now we feel a kind of change, and we go back to some more older interpretations in the fragrance, and I think this one is just the perfect balance, because normally you have this DNA of bergamot, mandarin and lime. These are Italian DNA, but if you smell it, there is a twist.
Yes.
And you directly from the first spray, you feel that it has an Arabic twist to it. And everyone knows citrus-based fragrances are not easy to last long, because the molecules they evaporate a little bit quicker. And this one will last and stay with you, and it's fresh, and especially when it's hot outside, keeps you cool. That's what I like about it.
So that was what you described was really the intention. The inspiration came from a lemon that we find in Oman that we call lumi. And lumi, you might have seen that if you go to a souk in the region, sometimes you see baskets actually of dried lemons that have become black. Those
Never
lemons,
seen.
you've never seen?
No.
Okay, maybe I might have one actually in my studio. I'll show you because it's quite unique. So the lemon has been dried for many weeks. It becomes black.
But grown here.
Grown here, yes. You would actually crack it. So this is used to cook in rice and so on. You crack it, and inside, despite the fact that the zesty actually part of the lemon is all black, it's still extremely juicy and acidic, and it's super surprising. So we took that as an inspiration, and we said, okay, we need to use like the best quality of citruses. Best qualities of citruses, most of them we source them in Italy, because that's really where you get the best qualities.
Yeah.
So we sourced several different citruses to really create a citrusy complexity. And then the challenge was to be able to trap those notes so that they don't actually disappear after 5 minutes. So the first layer actually surrounding those notes is the Omani frankincense. And now, hopefully now that you smell actually the citrusy aspect of the frankincense, you realize the obvious connection.
This is what I meant. But this is this frankincense. You cannot use all.
No,
the other one will not fit.
Definitely not. And then the last layer is actually a woody layer, and this is the smoky aspect that you can find in the fragrance. So Alexis, the perfumer, used a lot of cade, a lot of guaiac wood, a lot of, I think he used also a touch of birch in order really to create this kind of woody, smoky aspect.
Possible. Yeah. The next fragrance, I'm always pushing my audience, because you didn't intend to release this for men, but I just like to wear it, especially during my leisure time. I'm talking about Ouverture.
Oh yes.
And there, the woman fragrance. This is what I personally like, and I think it's very wearable for men as well. Yeah. It has a super interesting sweet touch to it. Pineapple. Is there pineapple inside? I get the interpretation of pineapple.
Yes.
But maybe it's not in it.
But it's close to it. I think it's definitely an apple note with some, and it can give you those type of effects because you have apple, you have a bit of saffron, a cinnamon, and so on, and a touch of also some dark notes. This is a fragrance from Annick Menardo, and if you know a bit the style of Annick Menardo as a perfumer, she's a master of contrast, and I think this is what you feel in this fragrance. It's really, so you have some boozy notes. There is a boozy aspect also to the fragrance. There is a spicy aspect. There is a lot of frankincense in it, and you get lots of woods, leathery notes as well.
It has some quite masculine tendency to it. Definitely. So if you wear it as a woman, it's a statement.
Oh, it is.
It is a powerful statement.
Definitely, and that's the inspiration. So the inspiration, the name Ouverture. The Ouverture is actually the music that is being played before an opera starts. And the story behind the creation of this fragrance is actually the idea that the lead singer of an opera play fell sick just before the play. And that lead singer could not perform. The young lady who was supposed actually to be there if there is an issue is called on stage at the very last minute to perform in front of a big audience. And the Ouverture plays, she's standing behind the curtain, and she knows that all of a sudden, the curtain is going to go up and she's going to be in the spotlight. Well, that's what this fragrance is trying to capture.
Yeah, amazing fragrance. If we summarize, let's say you want to enter the world of Amouage, I would say we go with your recommendation that you start with Reflection, with the normal one. This is a great fragrance, especially for men to enter. And then if we follow you, Guidance would be probably what you will recommend. From my side, it would definitely be Search. And now, at the end of this part, we need to get something out there for the collectors and for someone who's already have it all. And I think over there we have something astonishing, the oils.
Yes.
This is something you put together. Let me tell you something. Oils, we are not used to wear it, I understand. And we can show you how you apply it. But in this collection, here will be something for everyone. You have here, you have it also in the right level. So on top of here we have Oud Olea.
Olia, yes.
Olia. And this one is with birch tree, correct?
Oh yes.
Especially for me on Friday, I like to wear it on my skin and then spray it layer it with something else. But yeah, tell us something. What is your favorite out of this collection?
I think I like quite a lot Vanilla Barca. Vanilla Barca was inspired actually by, so this one, was inspired by the city of Barca that used to be one of the most important trading actually place for spices in the Arabic Peninsula. So you need to imagine that back at the time, maybe 100 years ago or 200 years ago, imagine you're standing by the sea and all of the boats actually arrive from India, from China and so on, and they unload all of their spice. So they unload vanilla, they unload clove, they unload cinnamon and so on, everything. Imagine the smell. And obviously, you know, there is also something slightly animalic about it because people are running around, maybe they are fishermen as well and so on. So all of that is actually somehow captured in this attar, but really like the very essence of it, because obviously those are like pure 100% fragrance oils. And there is no neutral base or something like that. Sometimes people ask me, what's the difference between this type of oil and my body oil? Right?
Yeah.
And usually a body oil is actually a neutral base, so it would be like it could be coconut oil or sunflower oil, so something that does not smell, with maybe 5% or 10% of concentrate mixed in it. Well, this is the pure concentrate, so perfume in its most precious form. And you need only 1 or 2 drops, as you said, in order to, I think, to really add an extra dimension to whatever you're wearing.
You're really pushing it, yeah? Here this is the purest form, the strongest form. This is for someone who wants to enter the next level. If you want to start in the collection, my recommendation would be Oris Vacan.
Yes.
When I smell it, I don't know the exact ingredients, you can help me with that, but when I smell it, it captures the luxury essence. It's not Arabic, yeah, it's just luxury. It's very wearable oil. I think it would fit to almost any fragrance. But if you say, okay, I want to try oils and what should I get? I would say this one is very easy to wear.
It's one of our most actually expensive creation to produce.
Really?
Because it contains a huge amount of actually orris oil. Orris as an ingredient is one of the most expensive ingredients in perfumery. 1 liter of orris would cost us around 50,000 euros to purchase. So you can imagine each drop is extremely precious.
Wow. Yeah, amazing. And I'm sure when you're looking at it, everything, if you feel the bottle, if you open it, and everything about it is just the best of the best. And it feels like it's a stone to, I don't know what is the name in English, but if you take out the oil, it just feels like it's almost stone inside there.
Yes, it's actually made out of glass, which is also something extremely difficult to create. So yes, definitely you don't want anything to interact with those precious oils. So glass is like a very, very neutral material that is going to keep those oils very stable for a long time.
Great.
Frankincense is an aromatic resin derived from the boswellia tree, native to regions of the Arabian Peninsula, East Africa, and India. For thousands of years, it has been valued for its use in religious rituals, traditional medicine, and perfumes. When burned, frankincense produces a sweet, earthy scent that has been associated with spiritual practices in many cultures, including ancient Egypt, Christianity, and Islam. It is also prized for its potential health benefits, such as reducing inflammation, promoting relaxation, and supporting skin health.
Okay. This is the frankincense tree.
I've never seen it. This is how it looks like.
It's a big one. It was planted when Amouage was created.
Oh.
And it's a bit of a lazy one because we give the tree water. So you can see it's very green. Usually
this is normal. In my imagination, it's always no leaves.
Yes, because in the desert you have way less leaves. You have some leaves, but not that much. This one is a very very lazy one.
Okay. But the action goes underneath.
So we need to go under.
Yeah.
So now we see...
it's almost like birch, like
Correct.
birke, yeah?
Yeah. So if the first thing actually is that you notice is it's a tree that has like the bark is made out of many layers.
Yeah.
What we can do actually, try to grab a piece of the bark and smell it because I think it's quite interesting. It smells nearly like tobacco.
Yeah. Like tobacco. It has a very interesting smell to it. You wouldn't associate it with frankincense.
No, definitely not. But I think there's something really interesting to do with this. It feels a bit like, in French we call it papier d'Arménie, so those type of little papers that you would burn.
Mm-hmm.
There must be something to do with it. So what we see actually is a tree that is 40 years old. And the way we do actually, we need to tap the tree. You can see actually that the tree has been tapped in many places and it recovers, and then the bark is just going actually to peel off.
Yeah.
And the tree will be like new again. What we need to make sure actually, some of those cuts are not good, because usually you have some actually tour guides. They come here and they want to show to their clients how actually frankincense is made. They take the key of their cars and they scratch it like this.
Okay.
And then it comes out obviously, but it hurts the tree. So what we want to make sure is that we tap the tree parallel to the branch. And that's why people invented centuries ago this tool.
Okay.
They call it mancaf. The way it works is actually, it looks a bit like a mix of a knife and a spoon, and it has that protection for the fingers. So it gives you the possibility to tap the tree like this and not hurt your fingers.
Okay.
Okay, so what we need to do, we need to pick like a good spot, so a spot that has not been tapped, and then I'll show you how to do it, and then if you want, you can do your own cut. So what I could do, okay, and this
It
is
directly starts immediately.
here you can see, this is the frankincense coming out. I did not go very deep on this one.
Yeah.
So there is not much that will come out, and we need to wait around 2 weeks. However, if we take actually a nice spot, so maybe, and one, like maybe we could try here if you want to try.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And you can go wider. Yeah. Excellent.
Ooh, there it is.
Yeah, you see
There it is.
how different it is.
Yeah.
So this one actually is like the right spot because it comes out. So now what you can do, you can actually, you can touch it and you can smell it, and it should smell, it's going to be a bit sticky, but it should smell actually like it did in the oil.
More green.
Yes. Very fresh.
Very fresh. Very fresh. This is far more dense. Interesting.
So what we do, we are going to wait for the drops to come out. They will solidify, and then once they solidify, we are going to distillate them with. So we do what we call hydrodistillation. So we are going to boil them. We are going to separate the oil from the water, and usually we would get a yield between 5 and 10%. So 1 kilogram of that resin is going to give us maybe 50 milliliters of frankincense oil.
Wow. But the trees you harvest, they are usually not that green, or?
So they are usually not that green, but this tree actually is not very good for frankincense harvesting because it's a little bit like it's not dry enough.
In my imagination, it's far more dry.
Correct.
And it almost looks like this would peel off.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So this one we use it to show, but we don't use actually the frankincense from this tree in Amouage fragrances.
Look at this.
Yeah.
How fast. And now as the next stop, where are you taking us?
So next up, I think we are going to look at the production.
At the production site?
Yes.
And this is something quite special. You must trust me, because in the production site there you see how the company is really working. And you know, we visited some companies, sometimes but I have seen here everything is clean and very pristine.
Definitely. Let's have a look at it.
Let's have a look. So guys, before we now go to the production site, here is one of the most expensive fragrances. And what I didn't know, We talked about Frankincense, but Amouage is a very vertical kind of company. They also harvest the roses by themselves. Here you have an old batch.
So yes, so it's actually the crop from 2 years ago, pure rose oil. So this is something that nobody does anymore, or just like a few handful companies. Most people would do rose absolute. Rose oil has a super low yield. You need, just to give you an idea, so with this rose we need 40 tons of petals to make 1 liter of oil.
I mean, let's say, put it in perspective.
That's the full room.
Full room?
Full of petals.
This room?
Yes.
Full?
1 liter of oil. Yeah.
I cannot imagine.
So I need to be careful. But so the oil actually has a tendency to solidify a little bit. So that's why I'm warming it up with my hands. And now I think it looks quite good. So this oil, when I give it to perfumers, they actually usually sit down and they are blown away.
Wow.
So what makes it special is that despite the fact that it's now close to 3 years old, it's so soft and so fresh. It feels like you've just cracked actually the rose and you put your nose like inside.
Normally, if you smell rose and intense rose fragrances, you always have this stingy kind of direction sometimes,
yes.
Even if it's high dosage. But this one has a real freshness, even a kind of almost citrusy a little bit.
Yeah. And why is that? Because the rose, usually roses take the personality of the place where they grow. So if you grow a rose in a greenhouse, and yes, that's like the best thing to do actually.
Yeah.
Don't want to waste it. If you grow a rose in a greenhouse, it's going to feel quite fat and quite rich. Those roses, they grow actually in the green mountains of Oman, but those mountains are quite rocky and mineralic, so they take that personality.
It's a complete different experience. Very interesting.
And this, if you keep this, you're going to have the smell for a month on the counter. Yeah.
Wow. We need to come back and see the harvest process. This will be very interesting. Very nice. And now we go to the serious stuff. Wow.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wow. Assalamu alaikum. Wow. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa salam. How are you doing?
So good. So good.
Good to see you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Marhaba.
Thank you very much for having us. This is, I mean, for me, you know, I'm selling fragrances for such a long time, but to see this and that you give us the opportunity to show all this is really amazing.
Oh,
and
that's great. That's great.
And no one has seen this kind of content on YouTube, and I hope you really enjoy it, because let me tell you, this is really rare that someone allows us to film inside here. This is really special, and if we look, everything is so clean and perfect here.
Thank you really very much. Thank you for that.
Awesome, wow.
I hope you'll be enjoying to see our factory.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm really looking forward, but I already see everyone is really happy, and there we see the bottles already finishing up here.
Yes. Yes.
Shall we start maybe, Musalam, from the beginning, the very beginning?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the bank vault. I already see it. Here we have the. Whoa. Okay, this is it, my friends. Here are stored the most valuable things, right?
Totally.
This is it.
So, just to start from the very beginning, a perfume is a formula, and a formula contains different ingredients. Okay, starting from the ethanol, usually the biggest volume in a fragrance, in an eau de parfum.
But here are also different.
Of course.
Yeah.
So we use bioethanol. It comes from France. It's the best ethanol that we use. And then you will see that sometimes we can do very special things with ethanol as well, particularly aging it and so on.
Really?
Because usually, alcohol and ethanol in perfume is something that people don't even look at, because it's just like a filler that adds to the volatility.
Yeah.
But we're at Amouage, we don't leave like any stone unturned from that point of view. So you will see, but it's connected actually to a pump, and you will see actually where that pump goes. So we would get actually different ingredients. We store everything. You could feel it. It's very cold here.
Here it's colder, definitely colder than outside.
So
yeah.
Always around 18 degrees. Cannot change, otherwise ingredients
It's not
be
stable.
compromised.
Yeah. And if this, for example, these are some.
So those are a lot of different ingredients that we use in different compositions and so on.
You know them? You know how they smell?
Most of them we do. There are also some what we call bases. So bases are like just like an assembly of different ingredients. So it's like a premix for some of the ingredients.
Wow.
But then, so obviously technology is taking over a little bit. So we don't have the old book of formulas anymore.
Yeah.
We have a good laptop with all of the ingredients. And obviously this is a little bit staged to explain the different extraction processes. So
what do we have here?
Here this is enfleurage.
This is the one with the wax.
Correct.
So here we place flowers on top.
Yes.
And then
fragile flowers, like in this case, jasmine or tuberose. The wax is going to actually absorb the smell, and then we are going to distillate the wax. So instead of distillating the flowers and cooking the flowers and actually damaging them, we do it with the wax. So this is enfleurage. This is like a traditional hydro distillation.
Yeah.
This is an old alembic. We use new alembic, so we don't use that anymore.
For oud, still quite common to cook the wood
in this type of devices. Yes, and then obviously for citruses we do cold press extraction that you cannot see here. So this actually is used to explain the different extraction techniques. You can see as well that when we have schools and so on, for example with kids, we would usually do with them a small hydro distillation of frankincense, and we would put the drops of resin in this. And what would happen is actually the vapor is going to come up, and then the density of the oil at the bottom
will stay there, and you can
and then you just actually remove it. So that's how we would do. So usually if you want to create a perfume, first of all you take out the formula, so from the laptop, and then you need to weigh the different ingredients. Okay, you've seen the different ingredients. We would weight actually the ingredients in this big tank, and you can see that a pump is arriving. This is the ethanol.
This ethanol. Okay. Mm-hmm.
So we see the scale.
Yeah.
So if I push, it goes up. So this is the scale, and we would put the different ingredients. We always try to mix batches that are relatively big in order actually to be more accurate in terms of weighting.
You have some old batches still to compare?
Yes. So we keep in the fridge actually every time actually a reference.
Because this is I'm sure there was a quite huge backlash. That's why it's very unusual that you use the natural ingredients. There was a huge backlash from Maison Crevelli because he said that he's using some artificial ingredients and so on. It's not easy. You have to imagine every year the roses will be different. There will be different rain. Everything will be different. So if you use natural ingredients, there will always be a small variety, and it will take huge effort to remain the same.
Yes, so what you can do what we call communal. A communal in perfumery is actually mixing different batches of ingredients together.
Okay, so you preserve one and mix it for
you keep it and you mix it. And they do that, for example, with champagne as well. If you actually, if you think about some wines or champagne and so on, they would mix actually different origins, different years and so on, to keep more or less the same character. But as you said, I think it's important for people to realize as well that if they want fragrances that are very natural and that contain actually a high amount of naturals, there will be variation.
But why for you as a company, and you are a quite big company, we just talked about that you are distributed in 80 countries, this straight from Oman, from here, why you don't decide to switch and just use not real ingredients, not natural ingredients? Why you don't head that direction?
So first of all, we actually do use a mix of natural and synthetic ingredients, because it's important for the perfumers to have access to the broadest palette of ingredients. And some of the best fragrances, if you think at the most iconic fragrances, Chanel No. 5 was one of the first fragrance actually using aldehydes, a synthetic ingredient. So I think it's really important to be transparent with clients that it's not about one or the other, it's about really like the complexity of a creation. What I think is not right is when you use actually a synthetic ingredient instead of a natural ingredient because it's cheaper.
And then you market it as, okay.
And then you market it as a natural ingredient.
Okay.
You say, you know what, I have rose in my fragrance and actually I don't have rose in my fragrance.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
and this is not the right thing.
Okay, sure.
So, but why are we doing that? Because I think it makes us unique. It makes us unique to harvest our own ingredients. It makes us unique to work at a very high concentration of ingredients. I think today people, particularly if you invest a bit of money in a perfume, you don't want something that is of low quality. You don't want, people want the real thing, and that's why we can really transparently, you've seen everything is behind transparent windows. So
this is the different, guys. You will feel it when you see the video. I'm sure you will experience that this level of complexity, starting from the bottle, ingredients, you cannot achieve in a 30 euro price point. It's impossible. Impossible.
No, for sure. So we mix everything here. You see it, and we create what we call the concentrate. The concentrate is the pure perfume, and what we need to do after having created the concentrate, we need to age the concentrate. We need to let it sit. Why is it so important? If you think about it, I talked before about opera. Imagine that you take the best musicians in the world and you put them in a room. They will not be able to play a symphony right away like this. They need time to learn to play together. This is exactly the same with a perfume. So we mix the concentrate and then they go in their own tank.
And this is the aging.
So this is the aging, and we have 2 steps of aging, not 1 but 2. The second step will be after we dilute with the ethanol. So
for how long?
It depends on each perfume. And you can read actually the aging time on every single tank. Usually the shortest time is around 2 to 3 weeks. And why do we do a short time? Because sometimes we don't want to impact too much very sparkling notes that have a tendency to be rounded with.
So you say citrus tend to store it shorter?
Relatively short aging time, citrus.
Interesting.
Woods, vanilla, and so on, long aging time.
What is the time?
So sometimes up to 6 months. Imagine.
6 months. You let it sit for 6 months.
6 months.
No.
Yes.
And the effect on vanilla and such will be
totally different. So there are some ingredients, for example, that smell bad when they are fresh and that become exquisite when they are aged. The best example is called Bourgeon Cassis. So it's the, how is it called? Blackcurrant?
Yeah, blackcurrant, yeah.
If you actually, it smells a little bit sulfuric, so like rotten eggs, fresh. And people actually don't like that smell. However, when you age it, it becomes this kind of beautiful, deep, black, fruity note that people love. We have that note in a beautiful fragrance of Amouage, Jubilation 25.
Okay.
That fragrance has a lot of it. What is very difficult with that ingredient is when you work with the perfumer, you smell the fragrances freshly compounded. And Bertrand Duchaufour was always telling me, Renaud, you need to be careful because you need to imagine.
That is always the case. When I get prototype or when you smell something just made, it's never good as the one which is at the end of the production.
So aging is super important.
But the fragrance will not age in the bottle, right?
So it will age, but much slower because the aging depends on the interactions. Yeah.
Okay.
So it keeps on aging in the bottle. Sometimes a good advice, if you get a perfume that you think is a little bit too fresh, the best thing to do, you actually spray a few times just to add a little bit of oxygen in the bottle. And then you let it sit for a few weeks and go back to that fragrance. Sometimes it changes if it has natural ingredients.
Interesting, wow. And this will be then the future batches.
So yes, so all of them are sleeping and we can have a look. So why do you think we have small tanks and big tanks?
Oil concentration maybe?
Yes, that can be, but it's probably even simpler, just the popularity of the fragrance.
Okay. Okay. Okay,
big tank.
Which one is the biggest one?
Now we are looking at it. So,
okay, this one is big. Wow, okay.
so now you can more or less guess the sales of Amouage based on.
Interesting, okay, wow.
And you see even guidance as a second one.
Wow, what is going on here?
Oh, so this is something, we talked about it. So this is something very confidential, very special, but you get access to it. I'm not going to say too much about it, but you can guess, I think.
Yeah, I mean you age it in a Eichen
In a wooden barrel.
wooden barrel.
So you can imagine the impact. And by the way, this has been going on for 8 months now.
But it is for a fragrance which is in the program.
That I cannot say.
Okay, because you know this to do on a mass scale, how to do it. This is the first time I see something like this.
So yeah.
Very interesting. My question would be now, because when I enter a perfume store, what I always ask, what is the fragrance which you sell the least? And this is what I buy.
Can I have a look?
Which one is the one which is really under the radar? I think I found some, number 90.
Oh, let's have a look. What is it? It might be an old one. So actually Opus 6
Opus 6.
was actually part of the initial, no, it's Opus 5. Opus 5. It says Opus 5. Let me see.
Opus 5.
Let me see. Oh, this is definitely Opus 5. So Opus 5, it's not the only tank. There might be actually a second one because this is quite a good fragrance. But if we go over there, we have actually the classic fragrances. Okay.
Within our community, there are some collectors, they want to go maximum niche. That's why they want to.
Then maybe we can have a look.
Or maybe number 94.
Because sometimes we have like double ones. So this is ethanol. Okay, Goldman, a very niche.
Goldman.
Okay. So this is the initial fragrance of Amouage. We keep it because the spirit of Amouage, as you can see, we produce more than 60 fragrances.
Yeah.
We really don't like to discontinue. Sometimes, as you can see, you know, we need to decide when we produce batches. So some people think, okay, we discontinue a fragrance. The reality is that it's not that much about discontinuing. It's about saying, well, for now we don't produce a new batch. But sometimes, as I told you, we need to produce a bit of a scale. We produce from time to time a batch. And gold, it's only from time to time. So
and this, the story behind Goldman, because I don't know this one.
This is the original.
This is the original one?
Yes. So the formula changed a little bit because some ingredients were banned, but I think it has been very well protected over time.
You have it in the store?
So we have it in the store. We can smell it. It's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Aldehyde, very chic, very special.
Okay.
It shows a little bit the patina of time as well. You know that you're smelling a fragrance that comes from the 80s, but it has been beautifully
But there is a trend also on social media, you probably know it, fragrances which are discontinued also from more popular or brands like Chanel and so, and they really get reintroduced. Some vintage, some people like to collect the vintage matches and so on, so it will be nice.
Totally.
Yeah, great.
So Journeyman, maybe you know it.
No, I don't know.
Okay, this is a beautiful tobacco fragrance. It's actually a very good fragrance. I think it's criminally underrated. So,
really?
Yes. So that one we will smell in the store as well.
We will,
if you
yeah.
don't mind.
I think this one, this year the US distribution is not carrying.
So that it can be.
But Germany has it probably.
I mean, many of them. Some tanks have been emptied recently because we are producing constantly. So you can see Search was here.
Search here, yeah.
So relatively, like actually, as you said, you know, I think more and more people are discovering about it.
Oh, we will see. Search will be one of the top.
So even if it's empty, you can still smell it.
Oh, this is it, really. This is it. This.
Search is by far the fragrance that we produce that contains the most actually citruses. It has a huge amount of citrus. We had to buy specifically for Search one machine that you see over there. It's a chill filtering machine because citruses contain a lot of wax. So when you filter the fragrance, if you do it with the normal machine, it blocks the machine. So we had to do it with a very special machine, and it's a beautiful fragrance to produce. Every time we produce this fragrance, the whole factory smells
Smells like citrus.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Great.
So
This is the liquid.
we have the liquids, then we do the double aging, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
And then when the double aging is done, we do the chill filtering. The chill filtering stops most of the aging, but because it removes the particles that are responsible for the aging. So
okay.
this is why we do the chill filtering, which means we bring actually the fragrance to a negative temperature, around -5 degrees. Because it contains a lot of oils, it can go actually very low in terms of temperature. But it's going to precipitate all of the particles, and we are going to remove the particles, and then we end up with a very transparent product. Well, not transparent from a color point of view, but with no particles. Yeah.
Okay.
And now we are going to go back into a room that is a bit more hot. We are still in the cold room, and it's actually the production facility.
We are right now here at the production site, and let me tell you, normally no one can give you these images. Look, everything is done by hand. They are really taking care of everything. Must be perfect here. And if you ever had an Amouage bottle in your hand, you will feel the craftsmanship and the level of detail.
Definitely. So everything is made by hand. What we see behind us is a very important step. It's the step actually where we are going to glue the emblem of Amouage on every single bottle. Now let's get closer because you will see the level of detail. The calligraphy needs to be always in the same orientation. 1 degree to the left, 1 degree to the right, the product is going to be rejected at quality control. And as you can see, everything done visually by hand. Most of the time by ladies because they have the patience
And they were
actually to glue them one after the other. They will sit for a full day here to dry. So this is something also very interesting that you should know about. Those are miniatures.
I don't know them.
So we produce miniatures. We are still one of the maybe last companies to do so because they are very complex products. But miniatures and also little samples are the first thing that a company would externalize to someone.
100%.
Well, the risk with that is that your product is not going to smell the same. Here, one batch fills the bottles. You can see lovely light, but also at the same time the miniature and the samples.
And look how many people you need to assemble it.
One by one.
Wow. Wow.
And you see that they are even actually
Polishing,
polishing on. Let's try to do a quality control live. Okay,
Now
so
let's see.
I will tell you one little secret about the sampler sets of Amouage. So this set contains 4 different vials. Each vial should be oriented visually by hand so that the name of the perfume is always at the top.
Okay.
Let's have a look.
Okay. Oh.
So this is the level of detail of Amouage.
Everything aligns. Everything.
Always the name aligned manually so that it's visible by the client when we open. And we can see search.
Great.
So this one was good. But quality control is going to check every single one of them. So this is everything that is done very manually is actually going to be done here. This is a manual cellar wrapping for items that don't have standard sizes.
Yeah.
So the bottles have been glued. They have been sitting on those trays.
Yeah.
And those trays, so now we can follow actually and discover the different steps.
Okay. So here everything takes place. First, he put it on the road.
Yeah. This column is going to blast air inside the bottle to remove any kind of dust that they could be in the bottle. Then it's going to go on this little tray in order to be filled. So we are going to check the filling. This is quality control.
Ah, okay. This bottles we said no good.
Have been rejected. Let's have a look at it. This was highlighted because there is a defect on the corner of the bottle.
True.
Reject Chrome. So this one I think has some Marc scent.
Yeah.
Reject Chrome. Can probably see in a few of them.
Yeah, some corner.
Yeah. So now let's have a look at this one. Quality control, but also what she does, she orientates the spray so that when you get the perfume, the
It
spray
fades.
yes, always.
So look, every single bottle aligns the sprayer with the bottle cap, so it always faces towards you when you are opening the bottle. Wow.
So we are going to check the filling. The bottles are filled in 3 times, so that's why you have 3 pumps. In order actually to always get the very right level, because it creates a bit of foam when you fill the bottle.
And then you let it cool down.
You let it go
Yeah.
down. Second time, third time. And it comes from here.
Okay.
Here you find all of the information about the aging, first step of aging, second step of aging, and you find also the concentration. So Love Delight 20%, 20% weight concentration.
Wow, okay.
This tank gives you also the amount of product that you can make with the tank. So you can make 4,417 units, so 4,000 products, a bit more than 4,000 products. People at the pump, the sprayer,
Right here, yeah.
and here the neck and the caps, they come at the same time. And they are trimmed actually by the machine.
Great.
This is quality control.
A very, very difficult job. You have to imagine, for the whole day you need to pay attention to make everything the same. And a very important step to maintain this quality.
This is the laser batch coding. So if you see this tube actually, and if you look a bottle coming, you will see.
Yes. Oh, fuck. See the engraving, yeah.
But if you get it wrong, please.
And then here we have actually the boxes arriving from here.
Yeah.
They all come in a plastic bag to avoid any type of dust. And they are being put in the boxes. And this is automatic seal wrapping.
Okay. And this now goes out to the whole world.
And this is then being packed. This is coded. And then this goes out to the whole world.
Wow. So maybe if you're purchasing Love Delight, maybe we were standing next to it. Wow, amazing, really amazing. Amazing.
It's very satisfying to see this. And by the way, when we go to eat for lunch, you can have a look actually at the production and it's very...
Now I need to smell Goldman.
Yes.
Now it's time.
Thank
We
you.
go to the last station, and this is the showroom. I already had a sneak preview, and I have to say, here I used the most high quality stones and surface. I'm really excited. If you enter the world of Amouage here, it kind of makes sense. The natural stone with the natural ingredients, it all comes together.
Okay, so we can smell Goldman. So Goldman eau de parfum was created by Gebauer.
Powerful, huh?
Wow, it's very like, it has this beautiful patina. So aldehydes at the beginning. You smell actually rose, you smell frankincense, you smell ambergris, and all of those beautiful ambery notes. Very sophisticated, quite vintage, but in a good way.
In very interesting DNA.
So this is Goldman. We smell reflection.
Let's talk about reflection, yeah.
Yes. And maybe we can smell it next to Reflection 45 as well.
In the modern time, I also discussed it with Lorenzo. In Europe, the people they want to have the strongest, the most powerful, and what we have learned is not always the oil percentage necessarily is longer lasting or more powerful, right?
No, it's actually, I mean, you could have something with a very high concentration. If the quality is not good, if the formula is not good, you will end up actually with something disappointing. So really, I think for us it's important to reveal the concentration, to tell to the people, well,
where they are,
you know, where you are. Yeah. However, it's not a race to have the highest concentration. So this is Reflection Man Eau de Parfum, so 25% concentration, and we are going to smell the exceptional extreme.
And one other question, if you take a look at the sprayer,
yes,
compared to other brands, it sits very in.
Yes.
What is going on there?
So it's a good question. I think, well, the intention was to have, from a design point of view, actually the intention was to have something quite actually aesthetic. And also, it's an interesting point you're making. Some people tell me, well, Amouage sprayers are not the best ones, you know, like they say, oh, they don't spray much and so on. And I feel, you know, like I think it's important to give the possibility also for the people to not overspray. Some of our fragrances, you just do 2 little sprays and it's totally fine. So this is something we've been discussing a lot about. Like, should we do like, you know, those big sprays and so on?
Visually, I think it's something different.
Yeah.
That's why I like it. I wouldn't necessarily say that your sprayer releases less fluid than others. I wouldn't say that, but visually it just looks different.
Yeah, definitely. So now we have the 2 of them.
Now we have the 2, yeah.
So for me, the main difference is the Oris. Like the Oris gives this kind of powdery patina to it. One feels a little bit more, maybe more niche than the other as well.
I think the regular Reflection, it just opens up more.
Of course.
And it feels like it's more, I don't know how to describe, more airy.
Yes.
Yeah, blown air in. And the Reflection 45, I like to wear it more for the evening time, to be honest. Yeah, it's a little bit more mysterious, I would say. But for the daytime, my recommendation would be the regular Reflection. This would be my route.
And it's the one fragrance when someone contacts me and asks, like, you know, what Amouage fragrance like should I wear for a wedding, at work, and so on, and all of that, I always usually I recommend Reflection Man. Meander is also a good one from that point of view. Enclave, as I think also that. But it's a little bit bigger, but definitely Reflection is a good one.
It has been an amazing experience. Thank you very much for all the trust you give us. I'm sure the audience will appreciate, and I hope we can meet again for harvest season.
Yes.
Then we are coming back to Oman. It is a long travel for us, but we are going to make it. This was one of the most interesting videos for me. If you are into niche fragrances, please check out Amouage, especially on Instagram. They are putting so much effort in it. The videos they are putting out are one of the best in the whole industry. Level of detail is exceptional. I really like them, the aesthetics. Thank you very much for all your time. And then I would say we see you guys next time. Bye-bye.